Beehive. How are you doing, Sandra?
Really, really good, Janine. And it is a great pleasure for me to be able to be here after we spent so much time planning this.
Oh, we sure did. We sure did, hon. Do you want to maybe tell the people how long you've been doing the work you do?
Well, I started this many, many, many years ago as a teenager. So when other kids were out shopping and buying clothes and going to dances and things, I was saving all my money and buying books on botanicals and bees. So from the time I don't know, from I had my first job about 15,
Yeah.
all the way to now, it's been my entire life.
Wow. Wow. Now, we first met, what year was that? Do you remember?
It was, I think we met probably close to 12, 14 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was that long ago, Sandra. I think it was at the New Age bookstore, I believe.
Yes, it was. I had come to you for a reading,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things where I'd only just met you, but I knew on a different level entirely that I knew you.
That's exactly how I felt. The minute I laid eyes on you, I was like past life connection.
Yes, and that has come up a number of times in the readings that you've done for me on a personal level, and each time it's resonated so fully with me.
Yeah, it's true. The first thought I had was you were a magical being.
Oh,
she's absolutely
well,
magic.
You, my friend, because to me, you seemed like this magical gypsy queen that I was absolutely entranced by.
Right on. We had mutual admiration, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went to your shop. So Sandy just works down the street in a neighborhood called Kensington. Just she has a wonderful shop called the Beehive that's been there many, many years. And I went in there, I remember, and I was entranced by all the yummy smells. I'm a Taurus, so I love yummy smells. So everything was essential oils and just yummy things like like this soap, right? Like just delicious things, right? Essential oils. We're offering all of these things now. So we soon, maybe within 10 years, I think it was, Sandy, we hatched a plan to do something together at a later date. It took us quite a few years to get around to it, but we're finally getting around to it.
Yes, the stars are rightly aligned now for us in order to be able to do this. And even before you and I were discussing this, two things. First being, like, I remember thinking, I want to do something with her, / I had the feeling that on a different level I already had. But then one time, as you were doing a reading for me, you told me that at some point a woman was going to come along and bond with me and leave an indelible print upon the way I do things business-wise, that we would have quite a combined future. And that turned out to be you.
And I wouldn't have known that either. You know, when you're reading, you're channeling something. So you're not really intellectually thinking about it.
Certainly. No, I could tell then, even though at that point I didn't know you all that well, I knew that you weren't projecting yourself in any way.
Yeah.
But I had that strongest sense that it was you. And then years later, when you had given me a painting that I had admired, that you painted, that I treasure, that's hanging in my house, and you've seen it there.
Yeah.
It would just seem to, I'm not going to suggest open a gateway, but I rather think if it didn't, it certainly illuminated the pathway, something between you and I to collaborate to create something of the both of us.
I like it. Well, we've done it, Sandy. So now we're offering these fine bath and body, I'm calling it bath and body products. I think that describes it best. We've got, let's see, just to show you a little, we've got some body wash. This is my son's favorite, actually. Each one is named after an intention, because you guys know my audience knows, Sandra, that I'm all about intention. So when Sandra and I talked about names for the products, we thought we'd add an intention. So if you want to call something to you, you want to know what your true purpose is, yeah, you might choose Purpose body wash, or you might choose Empower body wash, or if you're looking for romance, that one's a big favorite. You might choose that. There's a romance and Empower. There's one of each of everything. So we've got body washes. This is what the teens seem to like. I'm kind of old school, so I like soap. And this has honey in it. We're going to talk to Sandra about how she makes the soap, and we won't get her to give away secrets, of course, but there is, I know it's a really special process that doesn't involve lye. And a lot of people argue with me when I tell them that, and they get all, I've gotten so many emails, no, it has to have lye if it's soap. It's like, guess what? If you've been doing it for as many years as Sandra, you probably found a slightly less invasive way to do it. Believe it or not, there's other ways out there, right? I mean, it's still going to be something like a product that does a similar thing. Sandy's explained it to me, but it is not literally lye. And that's good, because I don't think even the word lye, for some reason, I don't think we want it in our products.
Yes, and quite right. And that
right?
is very much the perception of all the people that have been coming to my shop for over 2 decades. And I explain it constantly, and in a way, such a way that people can identify with it, not just fellow soap makers, but people who don't necessarily understand the ingredients involved, but just want to know the gist of it, just to nutshell it down so that it makes sense. And I'll do that. But before I do, I just wanted to say, in tandem with what you're saying about our products having intention, as I am making them, those are each thing. I'm not just stirring and thinking of what I have to shop for that evening on the way home for supper. It's not that. I am putting the associated intention into the soaps, the bubble baths, the body washes, absolutely everything. That's what I focus on. That's what my mindset is. Everything else, sort of rather like when you're a conduit, when you're doing a reading, I am a conduit for the energies that I am putting into my product. So everything else sort of fades away to black. It just doesn't exist. And all I'm thinking about is what I'm doing and the intentions and feeling and specific intention of our products into it. And now that being said, as far as lye goes, I've had this said to me many, many times as well, as in addition to your good followers. And respectfully, what I'd like to say is, I've been doing this for 35 years, and botanicals and biochemistry and bees have quite literally been my life. And with respect to modern day soap makers who take a recipe from the internet and they tweak it a little to make it their own, and that is a beautiful thing. And I always encourage every creative process, because we're all creative and we're all meant to be. And I love that. And I love it when other soap makers come in and show me what they've done. And I'm complimented by that. But herein lies the difference. My knowledge is earned and it's not acquired. And by that, I mean, in the day and age of the internet, you can get any recipe and you can, with just very few minutes reading, pretty much have the gist of things, and then go in and with a little bit of experimentation and perhaps a few trials and errors, largely make it work. But that's not how I started out. When I started out, there was no internet. And also, I didn't have money for books, and there were precious few, because I scoured libraries and secondhand bookstores and things like that, trying to do with what I could with what little funds I had to learn the craft that I was determined to learn and become a master at. And it takes a long time to do that in any area of life, no matter what you approach. And this is certainly evidence of that in my own life, because for 2 years, almost on a daily basis, I made soap, threw it out, made soap, threw it out. I was down to wearing one pair of jeans and not very many pairs of changeable clothes outside of that, in order to put everything I had into learning this. And by learning it, I mean learning chemistry, of biology, of botanicals, not biology, or rather the biology of botanicals, and how they interact with each other, and how they can work at cross purposes or beautifully as a synergistic effect. It took many thousands of dollars and years before I created my soaps because, like everybody else, I didn't want to use lye. Yet the process of making soap requires a caustic of some sort. Now, even things like lemon juice can be caustic, can be acidic, but it just has to be highly condensed. And in my case, over many years, I have been able to come up with something using sea salt and citric acid, which is the sour stuff that makes sour candy sour. It's food grade, it's a food product, and a few other naturally derived ingredients. And much like baking a cake, combined at all the elements combined under just the ideal circumstances in the ideal amount through the correct process that took me quite a few years to perfect, I've been able to make my own non-harmful caustic that isn't harmful not only to the environment but to our skin. Like I started out working with lye and I burned myself a great deal, and I still have little scars on my arms to show for it. That is, and in the slightest imbalance of lye in a soap causes something that's not, it won't burn your skin, but it's not beneficial to your skin. And also what most people don't understand about lye is that it destroys many of the natural attributes of the beautiful oils and things in the soap to begin with. It works at cross purposes. So that's why I came up with a non-lye alternative. And it is a caustic. And if you were to rub it on your hand, after a while, your hand's going to turn red and it's going to sting a little, but you're not going to blister, you're not going to burn, and you're not going to blind yourself either if it gets in your eyes.
That's why I'm working with Sandra Wells, people. All of everything she said.
So, and once again, I would just like to conclude by saying my full respect to everybody out there who's gone on the internet, because you have that available to you, and I didn't. And my objective was different than everybody else, it seems, that's on the internet. I do have some customers of my own who would like to learn that process. However, it's something of a personal baby of mine, because I spent so many years and endless hours into the wee hours when everybody else was sleeping or out having fun. I was toiling away in a dark old basement room trying to come up with this. So I don't give that away. But to all those people out there who understand biochemistry of botanicals, will have an idea that they'll understand what I'm talking about. They'll understand something of the process. So full respect to everybody who makes it using lye and makes it their own. I cheer you on 100% of the time. It's just that my way is a little different.
And when I met you, Sandra, part of the magic I could feel was when I first went in your shop, I could feel your magic that you put in. It was like, we have an alchemist here. And that's why I'm working with Sandra. I wouldn't work with anybody else. It's not just about, it's like literally about that intention, because you guys know my whole life's been about intention. My whole life literally has been learning to use my intentions to create my life. So this is just another example of, and Sandra's the only woman I've ever met that I would want to do this with, because she feels exactly the same way and does that in everything she does. And when you go in her shop, you know that's true. You can feel the magic. It's literally a potions shop. I just love it. Right?
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Well, our respective approach to life melded so perfectly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for this, Sandra. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to tell everybody our links. So links to the websites apparently going live. It could have already, if it hasn't already, it will be some point today. We got our guy working on it. Okay.
Yes.
And it's this is all really reasonably priced. Like, for instance, this bath salt, how much is the